that you're feeling fine, despite what's in your mind. I'm tired of thinking about it. Just take a deep breath and get inside it. I'm on my way out. I'm tired. Let's get inside. You say that you're feeling fine when you're always inside. I'm tired of thinking about it. Just take it. Let's get inside.
Nobody ever tells me anything that today is the SFL Season 17 Championship game. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Netma and on a special Saturday edition. Just an hour and a half removed from when the game kicks off. Before Eric Benson, Damon Simeon, and multiple others get involved with the pregame festivities before they turn over to Cam, Josh, and me over in the booth. But what a fantastic day for football in Baltimore, am I right? It was a fantastic day yesterday in the SFLM, but I think everyone's attention today rightly is on the big game in Baltimore between the Storm and the Vultures. I will have a few people joining me, but one person that won't be joining me today because she is with her husband on the opposite side of Ohio because they are visiting family. Because late yesterday, I got a call from Kendra saying that they were on their way to Nate's grandfather's bedside because unfortunately, Nate's grandfather passed away within a few hours of me getting that phone call. So I send my condolences. Netma sends their condolences to Nate's family and Kendra's family as they go through the process of grief. And understandably so, Kendra will not be here today. So after 80 plus years of life, we have lost Harbert Hall Sr., Nate's grandfather. So please, everyone, go ahead and shout out Nate and Kendra. Give them a pat on the back, saying they're doing all right, and let them know that they can hang in there for you. But yeah, unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. So Nate, Kendra, not here today, visiting family, rightly so. But we have a championship game to get to, don't we? We've got, let's see if we can get things going here. But like I said at the beginning, nobody ever tells me anything that today is the Season 17 SFL Championship game. And I've got a few people joining me here in the studio. We've got a couple people from Florida and one man over in Baltimore's having a little issues, but we've been having technical issues all morning long, and hopefully that doesn't spell anything for the championship game. But let's go ahead and meet our folks from Florida that have jumped in to say hello today. Let's start off with Mr. E.J. Minson. EJ, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Just looking forward to the game. Bit nervous,
Abs-
but I'm sure it'll be a blast of a game.
Absolutely. It looks like we're going to have maybe Stephen Black and Lloyd Graham Jr. joining us, but looks like they're also running into technical issues. I don't know if it's my system. Don't know if I need to upgrade my hardware or something, but something's going something's going funny. EJ, it might just be you and me for a little bit. But the one thing I do want to say, folks, is we want you to get involved. We want to hear your predictions. We want to hear what you guys have to say about the championship game. If you need a link to the Discord server, link is in the description below. If not, I'll go ahead and post it in the chat as well. That way, anyone and everyone, this is your game. This is the SFL Championship. I want to hear your predictions. Who's gonna go? Who's gonna hit it off? Is Bolt gonna get a big pick six? Is Charlie Ballett's gonna get rushed for 74 yards after getting injured again in the semifinals? Who is gonna make the play? Who is going to be the hero in season 17? Are we gonna see another Kramen Jackman-esque walk-off field goal? That would be absolutely crazy. But what are we going to see in this year's SFL Championship game? So we met EJ Mintz and Stephen Black and Lloyd Graham having issues. They'll hopefully be back here in a little bit. But let's go ahead and say hi to everybody else who's jumped in. We got Lottie Lou, Teflon Ron, Yates. We got Bob Funk, Josh Farnsey, Justin Reside. Let's see, Mike Twinscrew and Charles Doherty join us. Let's see, Base Scout 1, I believe that's Chris Curtis. Let's see, we got Mince Mine, that's EJ Minson over there. Stephen Black is here. Sadly, tech issues are ruled about. Have fun, gentlemen. Thanks for trying, Stephen. It was been fun. Let's see if we can get Lloyd Graham Jr. back or a few other people back. But the door is wide open. Jump into the green room, folks, and we will get you here on air live to go and talk SFL Championship football. We've got about an hour. Let's see, an hour and how many minutes here, EJ? An hour and about 22 minutes before pregame festivities kick off. Let's see. What else we got today? We got questions we got to get to. There aren't going to be any power rankings today because it should be pretty self-explanatory who who's number 1, number 2, and pretty self-explanatory who's probably number 3. And we'll talk about that's a good question about who we get. But well, we got somebody else who jumped into the studio real quick. Let's go ahead and say hello to Mr. Paternity. Did I get that right, sir? Tom, we get you on here. We've got you here in the studio. I don't think we've got your voice yet. I don't think you're muted either, at least on my end.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. We can hear you now. I'm trying to help Dave Axis. But how you doing, my friend? Good to have you on for the first time.
Yeah, good to be here. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. We're running into some technical issues, but we're having fun and doing it all the same. But it's good to have you on.
Well, that's what I heard. I was like, oh no, he doesn't have people able to get in, so let me jump in.
There we go. Always happy to have you, and always happy to have everybody in here. So we've got the Florida side with EJ Minson. We got Mr. Paternity with the Baltimore side. Gentlemen, we'll get to you guys here in a second. But let's see. My thoughts here on the semifinal game were as follows. Both teams played really, really well in. I gotta mute my phone. That's fun. Both teams played really well in their semifinal matchup. Baltimore, you guys came back and well, you had to come back and had to have a nice little onside kick in order to get things going, and it was a walk-off field goal for you guys, and maybe you guys can repeat that going into the championship. Florida had to deal with a very tough Arizona club. Both teams, that's a very tough. If there was a third place game between Mexico City and Arizona, that'd be a fun game to watch as well. But let's get Mr. Minson's and Mr. Paternitty's take on everything. So we'll start with the first semifinal game. Mr. Minson, I know we talked, Mr. Paternity, I know we talked about the semifinal games on Dave Axe's show on Tuesday, but let's talk just briefly again about how you guys felt coming out of your semifinal game and into the championship game. We'll start with EJ Minson and your Florida Storm.
I mean, that Arizona game, it was I guess We it was a good rush. I mean, I felt confident in how in our coaches and how they would prepare. God, man, uh,
Words are hard.
prepare for Arizona, and we Bullet had a great game, and our defense made the plays they needed to get that W. And
Absolutely.
that we did enough, and yeah.
And it really showed, right, Mr. Minson, that without Boletsky on the field, you guys are almost a complete different team. You're almost hogtied there in the later stages of the
I
first
mean,
half.
I mean, Boletsky was only off the field for like one drive before halftime. So we didn't really get to see what it would look like with Boletsky off the field. We were just I mean, he did a lot, and I don't think it would have looked good without him. So I was happy it was just cramps.
There we go. I think a lot of the Florida faithful were happy with just cramps. And moving on to Mr. Paternetti, you guys had it all to do in the last stages of that football game. Walk us through those final two drives in the onside kick, would you?
Yeah, so I think most of us thought the game was pretty much over. I think we were down by 9 points with about a minute 55 to go. We knew there was still a chance, but I don't think any of us were really holding out hope. Once we drove down the field and scored that touchdown, I looked at my wife and said, if we get this onside kick, we're going to win the game. I think that's kind of when hope started coming back, and it just really all came down to that onside kick. But that was a great game from start to finish. That was one of the best games I've ever seen in the SFL, because really both teams were performing at a very high level offensively. I think if you wanted to really look into like an analysis of what happened in that game, I really can't say enough about Ramos Lynn's tactics and his offense. They basically did whatever they wanted to against us. But just so many players making great plays. I mean, Mike Daggs, diving, catch, dragging the feet out of bounds. I mean, there's no defense for that. There's nothing you can do to stop that. And I think, honestly, a lot of the game just came down to a matchup issue that we were able to exploit, which is that Mexico City just has, younger corners, and we have probably two of the five best receivers. And Daley Holder he's like a top 10 caliber receiver as well. And I think some of our, very experienced receivers were just a little too much. And that matchup, really everything I felt was going in their favor, except that one particular matchup was in our favor, and it turned out at the end of the day that made the difference in the game.
Absolutely. And let's get to a player's point of view as well. Let's go to Lloyd Graham Jr., who joins us again after hitting a couple issues. Mr. Graham Jr., how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing good. How y'all doing?
I'm hanging in there. Let's hear from your side of the field. And just you're one of the guys on the field making plays. How did it feel to see your offense come back and win that football game? And now you have to go up against a very tough Florida team as well.
Man, I mean, it was a tough game. It went down to the wire. Shout out to Wiggy Downs, man, for holding his thing down, man, and being able to, take us down there, man, to win the game, man. And man, of course, man, Ivy Irvin, man, Willie Clutch, man, that man is a beast, but it was a tough game, man. And man, going up against Florida, man, we already know what we're going up against. Florida has always been, one of the top teams in the league, from the time they were in Alaska. So, we know what they about. I've been watching, man, all different games all week. just getting ready for the day, and I'm really excited, and we just gonna see what's gonna happen on the field, man. You know, we just gonna see what's gonna happen on the field, man. I feel good about what's gonna happen today, but man, we gonna see what's gonna happen, man. I'm excited though.
Absolutely. All right, let's go back to you, EJ Minson. Let's start diving deeper into this football game, and from your perspective, your Storm perspective here in this football game. You guys have to go into a very hostile Baltimore crowd where they have not lost a game in quite a while. They haven't lost a game at home this season. The only game that your opponents have lost is on the road across the pond. What is it going to take from your Storm to get past the Baltimore Vultures?
You know, what it's obviously you have to slow down that offense. I mean, that Baltimore offense, it's ridiculous. We all know that. But, and as Nate said on Axis's show, like you can't shut it down. But of course, Mighty and he's gonna have to do the best job to slow it down the best way. I mean, the way he does it. I mean, both sides, I'm sure, have a good idea of what each other is trying to do, and it's just gonna be who made the slightly better adjustments.
And you said mighty, meaning your owner and coach. Is it just
Well,
all
yeah,
down
I'm
to
talking
game
about
plan,
defense. Well,
right, right,
yeah, I mean, and then Ben controls the offense.
right?
And again, of course, on the offense, limit turnovers and don't stall out on drives, and don't stall out with Bullet. Like in that in the Fort Worth game, Bullet had a horrible game. Let's say that straight. He still got decent numbers just because he had so many dump offs, but that offense was shut down because Bullet just wasn't able to go. So we need to have both the pass game and rushing game on fire.
Absolutely.
I guess.
Let's go down to Mr. Paternity. The home team in this series here, Mr. Paternity, has won the last 5 matchups out of the 6 you guys have played each other. And the last time you guys played each other was in Florida a season ago. Now the tables are turned. How even with all the changes the league has made over the last couple seasons, over the past year, in fact, even though the home field advantage is slimmer than it used to be, how big is it playing at home against the Storm?
Certainly, you always like to play at home. You always feel most comfortable in your home stadium. You've got your fans. You feel like if a game is a 50-50 toss-up game, that home field advantage is going to give you that slight extra edge that you need. We always, and my co-owner TJ always says, home field, even in this current environment, is probably worth a point or two a game. And as we saw last week, some of the games come down to 1 or 2 points. In fact, quite a few of them do. So we'd certainly rather be playing at home than playing on the road. But we do know that Florida's offense and defense travels. It's a well-coached team. They're going to play well no matter where they play. You can put them in a sandlot and they're going to play well. So we are going to have a tough task on our hands.
And let's go to Lloyd Graham Jr. One thing to note for you, Lloyd, is Baltimore has yet to beat Florida in the playoffs. You guys have played them twice, and both of them come in semifinals. It's a different game today, of course. It's the championship ball game. What makes this game different? What kind of game plan will help you guys overcome the Storm?
Man, just staying focused, knowing what it's for, knowing that this is for everything. This is what every game that we played this year, this season, this is what it's for. So, man, we just got to go out there, stay focused. On defense, we got to stay focused and really stop dropping the ball a lot. It's a lot of times we had a lot of missed opportunities in the playoffs where we could get turnovers. So we have to focus on that and, man, just get our offense going. Once our offense get going, can't nobody stop us. I mean, our average is at least 40 points a game. So as long as we keep our offense going and our defense just stay focused on really locking down man, I got a good feeling, man. We might come out with a good thing today.
Absolutely. Jumping in here late. Again, anyone who wants to jump on can jump on here in the green room. And I think the most electrifying man currently in the state of Florida has jumped on. It's Charlie Bullet Boletsky joins the program. Charlie, welcome to the show.
What's happening, Tyler?
It's going well, Charlie. Great to have you here. You said it on action, so that was your first time getting injured. You come off the floor and get on the board with a huge 74-yard scamper. What kind of momentum is it going to take for you guys to beat Baltimore?
Yeah, I think as everyone has said throughout the week, they have a prolific offense, very tough to stop. Great passing game, great running game. Really tough to game plan against them. So I think the key matchup in the game is going to be our secondary versus their receivers. I think whoever wins that battle is probably going to win the game.
Absolutely. Charlie, I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but you got any bullet points for us?
No bullet points right now. Maybe post game I'll have a couple.
All right, that sounds like a plan. Let's go one more time around the room here real quick before we get to questions from the community. Let's go back to EJ Minson and your cohort there in Florida in your locker room said it's going to take, the wide receivers against the secondary. What are you planning on doing here today? Are you going to make the play? Are you going to be the Stephen Bush, or are you going to let Stephen Bush do his thing and be the hero late on in the football game?
I mean, I think Bullet was talking about Baltimore's insane receivers. I mean, Ivory Irvin's the best receiver in the league. There's no arguing against that. But yeah, I'll try and make the small impact, try and get those clutch third down conversions as well, just to keep our offense moving and not stalling out.
And comparatively, let's go to Mr. Paterny for this one. Passing offense, hasn't been the strong point for Florida this season. They currently rank 16th in the league as far as average yards. While you guys are the second best team in that category, again with all your weapons. Is that something you're going to look to exploit today?
You're saying, can you ask that again? Sorry.
Yeah. So Florida's offense right now is ranked 16th amongst all 24 teams. So again, compared to you guys, the second team here in the dogfight when it comes to average passing yards a game. Well, you guys, are close to 400 passing yards a game. Is that an area of the game plan that you're going to look to maybe neutralize or take away from the Storm offense?
I think we're going to try to go strength against strength. So I think our focus on defense for every game really starts with stopping the run and forcing opponents to try to beat us through the air. And not many have been able to do that. We have kind of a bend but don't break approach in the secondary. I think the reason that Florida doesn't pass more is because they don't really need to. Their running game is so good that they don't really have to pass as much as some other teams do, and sometimes our running game has struggled a little, and that's why we pass more. I feel like Florida's often playing from ahead, and that also favors them running a lot more than passing. But certainly trying to stop Bullet Boletsky is going to be a huge part of our game plan, and forcing them to use that passing game that maybe they don't use as much or haven't needed to use as much.
Absolutely. And Lloyd, let's go to you last time around here in the room as far as these first round of interviews go. But for your ball club, you have a lot of weapons and you guys play really well as a team. Is there a person that you think today is going to make the biggest difference as far as maybe your best chance of winning or losing here today against Florida?
All I'm gonna say is, man, watch out for the Duke.
There you go. So maybe a little bit of a Jimmy Hazard overtaking Boletsky, huh?
Watch out for the Duke. That's all I'm gonna say. Watch out for the Duke. You know what I'm saying? Watch out for the Duke. That's all I'm gonna say.
There we go.
I think it's gonna be a good game, man. I really do, man. I think it's gonna go down to the wire, man. But man, I've been waiting for this one.
And as have
'Cause like you
all
said,
of us, right, Lloyd? I think we're
yeah,
looking forward to this one. Kickoff or pregame starts in an hour. Boletsky, let's go to you one final time. Only your second, maybe your only third question, I should say. For you guys, is it? It's definitely not a Goliath versus David battle in the slightest. Both teams are two heavyweights going into this game. How close will the scoreline be, and how will you make an impact here today?
Well, I think the game will be close. I think it's gonna. I quite frankly think it's going to be a slugfest. I think the key for us is to stay close the entire game. Our offense is pretty balanced. I think we do lean on the run sometimes a little bit more, but I think we do have a balanced offense. And I've been saying it all year. Our offense is like a death by 1,000 paper cuts. We can beat you any which way. We have great receivers, a great QB, great tight ends, great offensive line. So we have to basically stay close with that offense of theirs in Baltimore, that prolific offense. We have to stay close. And if we are within striking distance or have a slight lead in the fourth quarter, anything can happen. We just have to stay close because, as T-Pat said, once in the SFL in general, once any offense becomes unbalanced, it becomes very, very difficult to keep up because the other team knows what you're going to do. If we're down by 2 scores, we're going to have to throw the ball all the time, and that plays into the strengths of the other team. So we have to keep it close, basically. We have to keep it close all game.
Absolutely. And we'll touch on more of the more of the SFL Championship throughout the show today. We're gonna go ahead and get to some show questions, and maybe we'll ask everybody in here what their answer is as we go out throughout the day. And before that, we got a few more people jumping in to the chat as we went around. We got Robert Cherry, who jumps in and says hello. The Baltimore Vultures, the doctor's in the house. Let's see who else we got coming in. Dion Hawkins, owner of the Tulsa Desperados, says hello. Let's see who else. Ashley Jackson, Diamond Blackwell, and Stephen Hacker jumps in as well. I want to say Rain Rie for a second, but that's definitely not Rain Rie. That's Hacker over there. Appreciate the compliment there, Ashley Jackson. You know, got to be on the sideline. Got to look nice. I won't have time before I take my teleportation cube over to Baltimore, where I'm currently, kind of flying in my TARDIS right now to get there. But that's another story for another day. But let's go ahead and get the show questions. We started the show questions thread a little bit early, so if you missed the notification in the server, go ahead and put in your questions now. If you still have them, we're always happy to answer them here on Netma. Let's start with Cliff Allen's couple of questions. He says, what is your current stance of owners as players? Should owners be required to hire positions, OC, DC, GM? Should coaches be players? Is there a conflict of interest, or does it increase the investment of the product, etc.? So basically, to all combine that, what's the status of owner players, in my opinion? I think that's how the league had started. I think it's a good thing to have owners as players. It keeps everything, it keeps them invested, right? So I don't know how it is, Mr. Paternetti, where I know that owners have to put in so much capital in order to maintain their club into the league. But do you guys get a discount on player fees, or is that just on top of your already capital?
I haven't had I had a player for 1 season, so I actually don't remember. But we don't get like a free player. If we have a player, we pay the subscription just like anybody else. I would say for owner players, I don't really think they're necessary to keep owners engaged. I think it's just a matter of what part of the league experience you really enjoy. For me, I enjoy coaching. I enjoy some other aspects, but coaching mostly. I had an owner player for a season. It was okay, but it wasn't something that I felt like I needed to do all the time. But for some people, that's really the aspect of the league that they really enjoy and get a lot of meaning from. You have people like Matt Wilson, who said, you know, I could never play football, um, but by having a player, I'm kind of able to live vicariously through this player that I have, and that's incredibly meaningful to him. And so, you have people who have kind of built identities and who find that very meaningful. And I think the league hasn't really found a good reason to try to take that away from people up to this point.
And use an excellent example there, Mr. Patterny. Matt Wilson, again, confined to a wheelchair. That's an excellent example, and I completely agree that owners as players, uh, I don't think they should be removed. I think it's a really good thing, and I completely agree with you, Mr. Paternity, that owners as players, owners as coaches are both fantastic options. As the league continues to expand, I don't know if we have to be so segmented where you can have an owner and a player, but that owner still can't be a coach. I don't think we've hit that threshold yet. I don't think we have uh, the necessary um, base to do that, base of players, base of individuals that want to be a coach in that regard. And that's a great way if we look at the SFLM. We have coaches that are both in the majors and the minors, trying to work through both leagues, right? So I think to tell them at this point that they should be segmented like that is probably a bad idea.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the issue is looking at how it really developed. I don't think you didn't really have a lot of owners who decided to create players just to kind of exploit a system or anything like that. What you actually had was a lot of players who over years decided they wanted to get more involved in the league, who decided to coach, who decided to own. So it started off as lots of owners, current owners who were not owners, having players, and then gradually increasing their role in the league until they themselves became owners. It's kind of a, you know, that's kind of how the circumstance came about, much more so than owners just saying, I guess, why don't I see if I can make a player so I don't have to get another user player.
Absolutely. Let's move on to Cliff Allen's second and third questions here is what is your favorite discontinued franchise? Now, I'm a little partial to the to the Minneapolis franchise. I'm a little partial because again, I'm from Minnesota. They did win a championship. I think that's where I stand. I think that's my favorite discontinued franchise. Uh, let's see. Do you guys have a discontinued franchise that you guys know about? Let's go quickly down the row here. Charlie, do you have a discontinued franchise from seasons past that you would probably put your name or stake on?
Um, being from the Big Apple, I think there was a New York team way back when, right, Tyler?
Yes, it was. It's actually the Queen City
A New
Corsairs. I
York
think they
City,
were.
not right. A New York proper team, like with New York as the name of the team. I would love to any New York team to be in the SFL again.
Another
That would be
major
cool.
market. I like it. AG Minson, how about you?
No, all of the local, I mean, DC and Baltimore already have a team, so I'm good with all the local stuff. Yeah, I mean, mostly, I guess. I mean, I normally just think about past teams and jokes about them. God, I mean, those most teams that are gone are better left as things to joke about, in my opinion. But I mean, there are a couple that I definitely miss, I guess. I mean, there have been teams in the past, I mean, that have been competitive, of course. I mean, of course, Minneapolis is one of those examples, but there are some others. And of course, there's a part of me that misses, uh, you know, seeing some of those competitive teams out on the field. I mean, all the teams are good right now, but I mean, the only thing I can say about missing is the more the merrier, and no Doyle. OKC is left better as a meme. That's my answer.
Oh boy. Oh, don't tell Eddie Gage that. Lloyd Graham Jr. Let's
Doyle.
move to you. Do you have a favorite discontinued franchise?
Yeah, man. The team that I miss is the Chicago Wildcats, man. The team in Chicago, man, the Windy City, man. You know what I'm saying? I used to that was the first game that I watched when I ever watched a SFL game, and it popped up on my YouTube. And it was Chicago. I forgot which team they were playing, but man, that team, I just never thought I would see them leave. You know, just that's just me personally. I never thought I would see them leave. You know, but yeah, that's one team that I miss being in the league, seeing them play.
Absolutely. And Mr. Paternity, we'll finish off this question with you. Favorite franchise or maybe a team that was in a different city before they moved to their current one?
Well, certainly the Maulers. Love the Maulers. Felt like we were able to create a very cool thing with them. I, you know, I like the Crabs. In some ways, we're kind of like a reinvention of the Crabs and a reinvention of the Maulers. But the Orlando Intimidators, owned by Kyle Walsh, were also a very successful team that did win championship. So those were three very good teams.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to Alan's third question is what is the most important position other than quarterback and why? Uh That's a very good question. I mean, quarterback's your centerpiece of your offense, but I think in my humblest opinion, we'll take one offense, one defense position. I say your most important position on offense besides your quarterback is your offensive line. And I'm not going to pick any specific position on that line because I truly believe with the right pieces in place, an offensive line in the SFL will be dominant, will be able to go up against the top tier defensive linemen and be able to create more time, be able to, prevent your quarterback from being sacked. I think offensive line is undervalued and needs to be looked at severely. As far as the defense goes, Eddie Gage says defensive tackle. I say, around the same. It's defensive line, offensive line for me. I love battles and trenches. I love to see old school tough football. I think for me, those two positions, both the lines, have to be looked at as probably your building blocks for any franchise besides the quarterback. Uh, just real quickly, we'll go through it. Real quick, just shot them out there. We'll go down the line again. We'll go reverse order this time. So Paternity, best position to look for besides quarterback.
So if you're going to pick a defensive position, I actually say a good safety. If you got a good safety who can return kicks, we have one right now. We had one in Coma Kaleka years ago. That's somebody who can change the game in lots of different ways. They can score points. They can take points off the board. So I think if you've got a good safety, you've got a good building block.
Absolutely. Lloyd Graham Jr., if you're to pick a position besides quarterback, what would it be?
I agree with T-Pat. You know, man, the safety and a good returner, that could be a game changer in the game. You know, as long as everybody else play their role, man, special teams, man, a lot of people don't give shout out to special teams that much, man. But man, you got to think about it, man. A lot of games have been determined off of what happened within the special team. So you know that's what that's what I look at.
And that begs the question as well that you both brought up is now with potential roster expansion, are we going to see someone get drafted just solely to be a return man and maybe not see a whole lot of time on the field? Is that the way we see the SFL going? EJ Minson, to you for best position and maybe where do you see the special teams game go here with possible roster expansion on the horizon?
Well, for defense, I have to agree with Eddie. Defensive tackle, it can help clog up the run game and pressure the quarterback. It affects both the run game and the pass game, which makes it very valuable, in my opinion. And for offense, running back or sometimes fullback. The other than quarterback, the pass game opens up the run game, and the run game opens up the pass game. You both are needed. That's that's my take on that. And special teams, since we'll have more wide receiver fours, I mean, I guess we'll have more guys out there to help block for the kick returner. And and I mean, slightly better kick returns.
There you
That's
go.
valuable. More
Absolutely.
people on more roster spots, more people on special teams. Better 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 special teams.
There
What
we
else is there
go.
to say?
And Boletsky will go to you. Your position and why?
I think that both offensive and defensive lines are the most important, other than quarterback. Why? Because I think each has the ability, as EJ touched on, to basically elevate the rest of the team. On the offense, the offensive line elevates the pass game, the run game. On the defensive line, they make the cornerbacks better by getting pressure. They make the linebackers better by being able to go in open lanes and make tackles. So I think a good offensive line and a good defensive line is crucial to having a really good, consistently good team.
All right, we'll continue to press on. Those are all great points. Mr. Paternetti had to take off. Thanks for joining us, T-Pat. It was a pleasure to have you on, and thanks for always listening and hanging out with us, especially today. So, gentlemen, we're going to keep on moving forward here. Robert Cherry's question is, which teams do you see have an immediate need on defense, and will they fill that need in free agency or the draft? And I think the biggest hole that I see currently is with three retirees and one free agent over in Charleston's defense. That's massive. That is a huge hole. Charleston's going to be looking for, I think, a lot of rookies. I think they're going to be looking at rookies in order to get those spots filled because, of course, with so many people, with a lot of people retiring, that just shrinks the player base a little bit, allows a lot more of these rookies to come in the frame. So I think we are going to get a lot of rookies in Charleston, and I think that's going to happen for a lot of teams here in the coming off season. Let's continue on with Bob Funk with Portland losing Shad Allen, Art Vandelay, and kicker David John. Do you think they take a step back next season, or can they make a playoff push next season? I think that's all in the development of OJ Bruin. I think with the rookie quarterback, he was able to help his team, but in other cases, it was more of he threw the ball away a couple times, and they weren't as consistent when they played tougher opponents. Now, with progressions, going the way they are here in the SFL, will we see them take a step forward? I think they're probably going to stick around the same path. I think we'll see them hover around 500 again next season. I don't think they're going backward, and I don't think they're going forward next season. Let's see. Eddie Gage says, "Is Bullet on digital PEDs?" This is a very confidential question, Mr. Boletsky. What do you say to that? Are you on performance enhancing or digital performance enhancing drugs, sir?
I'm going to have to defer to my lawyer for that question, Tyler.
Brilliant. You plead the fifth.
I plead the fifth.
There we go. Very nice.
Well, if a lot of alcohol counts as PEDs, I mean, but that's whole.
I will admit to the alcohol, but not the other stuff.
There we go.
Let's just keep that under wraps. Yeah.
There we go. All right, let's move on to Robert Cherry. Again, what kind of game do you prefer to watch? A high-scoring offensive game or a low-scoring defensive scrum? And I have to lean on the side of let's go with a defensive scrum. I'd love to see you return to old school football in not just the SFL but in other leagues as well, because I think a lot of the game has really gotten to more speed orientated and not so much power, and that has to do with a couple of health related concerns in the real life sport of football. And I understand the need to protect the players, and there are some things that maybe are a bit too far, but I think it's a physical game. Football is always going to be a physical game, and the moment they say we have to limit how hard we tackle a regular ball carrier, I think that's when football starts to not be as an effective game to watch, just because we're conscientious of every single tackle instead of going out there and trying to make a play. That's where I stand on that. Eddie Gage wants to weigh in on this one. Eddie, where are you? Why haven't you joined? Why haven't you joined the studio? You want to weigh in on this one? You better jump here in the studio, and that way you can answer here on live. Maybe we'll get back to that question. Moving forward, again, another Robert Cherry question between Arizona and Mexico City. Who would have won if they had if they went head to head for third place? And again, I said this at the top of the show that that would be a fantastic football game to watch. Arizona, Mexico City. I think that Arizona would come out with the victory. I think it'd be another tough contest, but I think Arizona's defense would do just enough to take down the Mexico City Aztecs. And maybe we give a couple predictions, maybe a couple score predictions on that football game, that hypothetical football game, real quick from everybody here. So, Charlie, what say you? If Arizona and Mexico City were to play, what would be the final score?
I think Arizona would put up a 40 burger. Ashley would go off. They'd win the game by 10.
Wow. All right. 40-30, your final in that football game, according to Mr. Beletsky. EJ Minson, what say you?
Mexico City by 4. I think that Ramos could put up a game plan to stop that Arizona offense. And Mexico City's offense is just, I mean, I'd say one of the more unique ones this season, and it would be I think that the offense will get just enough to squeak out a very small victory.
There we go. And Lloyd Graham Jr., you got the final say on this hypothetical matchup, Mexico City and Arizona.
I think Arizona will win, but it'll be a close one. It'll be a high-scoring game, a lot of passing yards. Like Bolesky said, man, it's gonna be, man, Ashley gonna have a lot of passing yards, but you also have to look at, man, that tight end that Mexico City has, man, and man, it's gonna be a real high-scoring game. But I think Arizona will win by maybe 7, maybe 3, but I'm saying maybe 7 tops. It's gonna be a close one though.
It would be a close one. I think it's a little bit more. I think it's a little bit higher than a 3-point game. I think the final score probably end up being something like 33-25 or something crazy like that, just based on what these two teams can do, and especially that defense. I have to agree with Eddie Gates. I don't think Arizona's given up 30 points to Mexico City. But again, hypothetical. What might have been, shall we say, in a hypothetical third place matchup. Let's see. Josh Farnsey asks, last year's title game ended with a walk-off field goal. What are the odds you get Florida walking off this weekend with a buzzer-beater field goal themselves to exact some karma-sized revenge? That's a really good question. I think probability of that would probably be in the... I'm actually going to go... I think this is kind of a high number, but I maybe 2.5% chance of doing a walk-off field goal. As far as how the game could end, I think this game originally said in Access Live it's going to be a field goal that clinches out the win. My official score line will be revealed later. I think it's going to be kind of different, but it'd be fun. It'd be fun to see get that victory in a similar fashion. And I don't think anyone would be upset with another walk-off win. I think that would be another fantastic end to a championship game, kind of like last season. Another second question from Farnsey is, what sort of food is everyone having while they watch the game today? Well, I'm gonna work in the game, so probably just some water, maybe a hot dog from the sideline. Boletsky, what do you got while you're watching the game today?
Strictly liquid diet.
There you go. Water, Gatorade, and maybe a protein shake, huh?
Well, I just actually had a tooth extraction and basically oral surgery, so I can't really eat regular food anyway. So a liquid diet is appropriate in more ways than one.
Well, there we go. Well, I hope your recovery goes smoothly with that surgery, and hopefully all is well.
Nice.
Mr. Minson, what's your game platter of choice for today?
Maybe some chips. No popcorn because I need to make sure that my hands don't get too greasy for, catching the ball. I guess some chips, some water, nothing crazy.
Fair, fair. All right, Lloyd Graham Jr., what you got on the barbecue?
Man, I ain't eating nothing right now, man. I'm too excited for the game, man. I just want to sit back, watch the game, and enjoy it, man. And man, after that, man, it is what it is, man.
There we go. All right. Moving on to Charles Doherty is which owners would you pick for the 2022 SFL owners calendar? Who would be January, February, etc. Oi, oi, oi. Well, I think it has to go with where everyone's located, right? I think uh, Sioux Falls gets January, Baltimore gets February. Let's see. Let's go March. I think that'd go to Jacksonville. April, Portland. May. Oh, what do we got in May? What do we have in May? Let's go. Let's go Tulsa in May. Let's go Deion Hawkins in May. We'll go Houston June. We'll go Louisiana July. St. Louis. Oh no, we'll go Lone Star August. Oh, Lone Star August. St. Louis September. Denver gets October. November goes to. I think November's going to go to DC and December. I think London gets December. I think that's what we're looking at. I think that's a rough calendar for you guys. Maybe we put that together. Maybe we don't. But who knows? That's who I got for Charles Doherty. We like to have some fun here. And final question before we get to official predictions is from Eddie Gage. Is what's your stance on teams with multiple owners having multiple owner players? Do you think it's fair, especially considering where the league is headed, having more players at positions that can be hard to fill? Again, we see ownership groups in professional sports outside the SFL. I think at this point I have no qualms against having multiple owner players as long as they're contributing their ownership dues, which I know all of them are. So I have no qualm with it. I think it should stick around for a while. If something changes, if something goes wrong with the ownership groups, then there's reason to go talk about. But I think for now, I think we're in a good spot for that in regard. All right, with about 6.5 minutes to go before we go to what did I disappoint Eddie about? Come on, Eddie. What are you talking about, Mr. Gage? Before we go to let's go to predictions. I know you three are probably going to pick your ball clubs, but I just want to hear a final score line. So we'll start with EJ Minson. Minson, you get the first score line prediction. This is the official prediction for your SFL Championship game. What you got?
30-28 Florida.
2-point ball game. Florida with the victory. Mr. Boletsky, let's go to you.
34-31 Florida.
3-point ball game for Mr. Boletsky. Again, Florida with the victory, of course. Let's see. Tyler not including Florida on his calendar. Well, where do I put it? Which team do we cancel? There's only 12 spots. Do we maybe double up on months now and get everybody? I'm just picking names out of a hat at this point. Sorry, Mr. Black. Let's go to Lloyd Graham Jr. Your official prediction.
Man, I'm going with the Vultures by 10, man. It's gonna be a big one, man. It's gonna be 40-30.
Vultures by 10. Go ahead and put your predictions in chat. We're gonna go ahead and break this down in how I went about making my prediction. Lottie Lou says 27-24 Florida. I haven't seen any other official predictions so far yet here in chat. We'll get to them as soon as we can. All right. Baltimore and Florida. We have the consistency team in Florida versus the high-powered, explosive team in Baltimore. That's been covered in depth by pretty much everybody. That's what we're expecting, right? Florida is going to lean heavily on Charlie Boletsky today. The run game is going to be hampered a little bit by Baltimore, though we should see Boletsky hit over 100 yards. That would go against Baltimore, who currently, for the Vultures, are ranked number 7 in rush yards against, averaging around 81 yards against on defense. I think Boletsky is going to get over 100, maybe not too much more over 100 yards, but I think he'll get to that. As far as the turnovers go, we know that you have to play perfect football against Baltimore. Ron Cochran has been known here in the last couple of weeks, especially against Charleston, where he nearly threw the game away to give Baltimore the victory, or to give Charleston the victory, excuse me. We might see a similar fate if Mr. Cochran cannot keep control of the football. If he gives up, I think if he gives up even 2 interceptions, Florida is losing this football game. For Baltimore, it's the same type of thing. The reason why they lost against London is because they threw the ball away. Wigmore threw the ball to London defenders a lot more times than he threw them to his own teammates at times. So that's why they have that one dent on their record. However, today, here in the SFL Championship game in Baltimore, the run of home team victories continues. My official prediction, 31-27, Baltimore with the victory at home. A few other predictions as we go through matters here. Reside says 35-30 Florida, 29-26, unknown who the victor is. Blackwell says it's a 7-point victory for Florida. Vultures for Mr. Teflon Ron Yates, 20-27. Mr. Hacker wants a 1-point ball game, safety to field goal, 3-2. And I think that's everybody that has contributed here today. Well, that will probably be about that for matters here today. Mr. Boletsky, you got a final word for us?
My final word is I hope SFL Nation enjoys the game. I hope it's exciting, no matter who wins. I'm just hoping for an exciting game that everyone can be proud of and the league could be proud of.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, Charlie. EJ Minson, thank you for joining us. Your final word today.
Lemon booty is the most important thing.
Ay. Thank you, EJ. Lloyd Graham Jr. as the last remaining member of the Vultures here in the studio. What's your final word for us?
I just want to give a shout out to my whole team in the locker room, y'all. Y'all just stay focused. You know what I'm saying? Let's go out there and play like the team that we are. And man, everybody enjoy the game, man. It's gonna be a good one, y'all. Let's just have fun, man. Good luck to both teams, man. Good luck to both teams, man. You know what I'm saying? We both deserve it. We all play hard. Let's go out there and put out a show, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Thank you to Mr. Petterini for joining us here as well. And unfortunately, we weren't able to get Black due to technical difficulties. But thank you, sir, for trying to get in and help us out today. Again, thank you, SFL community, for joining here with me today. Go ahead and send your condolences to Nate and Kendra on the loss of Nate's grandfather. Go give them your support. And enjoy the game today. It's going to be fun. It's going to be hectic. It's going to be crazy. There are going to be crazy things that happen during the game. I can't wait to witness them alongside all of you. So until we've got about a half hour before festivities kick off. And until then, folks, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, ladies and gentlemen.